The NBA has a problem, and it's LaMelo Ball. Defenses are doing everything right, trapping him, switching, packing the paint, and it still doesn't work. And the reason why is not what you think. At 6 foot 7 inches, he passes like magic, scores like a 2 guard, and the league has every scouting report on him, and still can't stop him. But what exactly makes him unguardable? It's not the scoring. It's not even the athleticism. It's the control. And this season, LaMelo Ball has more of it than he's ever had in his life. But to understand why he's a problem right now, you need to understand what kind of problem he actually is. LaMelo Ball, 3rd pick, 2020 NBA Draft. Michael Jordan's selection. And nobody was celebrating. The scouting report was just brutal for LaMelo. Lazy defender, questionable work ethic, shooting form that looked like he was throwing a dart sideways. Oh, and his dad LeVar was publicly challenging MJ to a one-on-one on social media. Not exactly a clean entrance. But here's exactly why Charlotte took him anyway. At 6 foot 7 inches, LaMelo isn't a wing pretending to run the offense. He's a true floor general point guard, trapped in a body that no defensive scheme was built to contain. The moment he stepped on an NBA floor, that became everybody else's problem. Rookie year, 19 years old, Charlotte Hornets, a franchise that hadn't sniffed the playoffs in years. He averaged nearly 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per night. Won Rookie of the Year in a tight race with Anthony Edwards, 3rd in franchise history to win. But you gotta look way past the stats. The real story was the way he played. The skip passes before defenses rotated. The pick and roll reads that guards twice his age couldn't make. The fact that, at 19, he already understood the game at a level most players don't reach until their late 20s. Year 2, All-Star. Over 20 points, nearly 7 rebounds, 8 assists per night. He's like Magic Johnson, with a jumper. The league was starting to figure out it had a real problem on its hands. But LaMelo wasn't done yet. Because everything you just saw, the Rookie of the Year, the All-Star appearances, the highlight passes, that's just the foundation. What did he become after that? That's where it gets dangerous. He's a 3-level scorer. He can get to the rim, pull up from mid-range, or knock down the 3. You can't shade him one way because all 3 are real threats. But the biggest problem isn't the scoring, it's the control. LaMelo is 6 foot 7, operating like a point guard out of every situation. Off the dribble, in transition, out of the post. He sees over defenses that were built to contain guards. He throws pocket passes in traffic that bigs aren't supposed to throw. He finds the corner before the defense even thinks to rotate. And the pick and roll? Most guards use it to get downhill. LaMelo uses it to read the entire defense and punish whoever makes the wrong choice. If the big drops, he pulls up. If the guard hedges, he slips a pass underneath before the helper arrives. He's making 2 or 3 decisions before the ball even gets to him. That's not athleticism, that's feel. And feel, at his size, at his age, that's genuinely rare. But in his first 2 years in the league, he struggled in one aspect of his game. It's very simple, yet had a huge impact on his performance. And it's not talked about enough in the media. Free throws. LaMelo's first 2 seasons, defenders had a cheat code. He was shooting 76% from the line. For a slashing guard, that's not just bad. That's an exploitable weakness. Meet him at the rim, foul him hard, let him beat you from the stripe. So what did LaMelo do? He went back to the lab. One offseason, came back shooting 87% from the line. That cheat code? Gone. Deleted. Dead. Now every drive is a full threat. You foul him, he makes you pay. You don't foul him, he finishes anyway. There's no good answer. That's the problem. The last door defenses had, he kicked it shut himself. But here's what's different about LaMelo this season and a major driving factor of Charlotte's sudden surge. He's not the same player anymore. Early in his career, LaMelo was a scorer first who happened to pass. The shot attempts were high. The The ball moved when he felt like it, and Charlotte's offense lived and died by whether he was hot from the field. This season, he's averaging 9.2 assists per game, the highest of his entire career. He made a conscious decision to become a facilitator first, to make the game easier for everyone around him before he even thinks about his own shot. And what that does to a defense is almost unfair, because now you can't key in on stopping LaMelo the scorer without completely opening up his teammates. And the moment you respect the pass, he attacks you. The most dangerous version of LaMelo Ball isn't the one chucking up pull-up threes. It's the one who decides when he wants to score, and spends the rest of the time making everybody else better. That's the version the league is dealing with right now. And that's exactly why he's become the NBA's biggest problem. But there's one thing standing between LaMelo Ball and a real MVP conversation. Both ankles, nagging, recurring, momentum-killing injuries that have turned LaMelo into the NBA's most frustrating watch. Because every time he starts to string together a run, every time the league starts to genuinely take notice, he goes down again. You don't want to be Kawhi Leonard. You want to be LeBron. Availability is a superstar's greatest asset. Doesn't matter how good you are, when you're in a suit and not a jersey, your value drops to 0. This season's a step up for LaMelo's career as he played 72 games for the Hornets. The first time he played 70 games since his sophomore year. Then there's the defense. His efforts on that end still doesn't match what he does offensively, against playoff-caliber teams with real game plans built specifically around stopping him. Those are still the nights he can disappear completely. And the ankle injuries and defense aren't just his concerns, but the entire Charlotte organization's concerns. And that's the real stakes here. Not whether LaMelo is talented enough for the MVP conversation. He clearly is. The stakes are whether the best player Charlotte has ever had can stay healthy long enough and locked in enough to actually take them somewhere. Because right now, the window is open. The pieces are around him. The version of LaMelo on the floor this season is the best version he's ever been. The question is how long it stays that way. The NBA has had 4 years of film on LaMelo Ball. 4 years of scouting reports, defensive schemes, game plans built specifically to slow him down. And he fixed every weakness critics handed him, one offseason at a time. The league didn't see this coming when he was drafted 3rd. They didn't see it when he quietly became one of the best facilitators in the game. They should have been paying closer attention. Defenses have a game plan for everyone in this league. Nobody has one for him.